What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grab me your beer and grab me a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brandon T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brandon Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do. Hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do. Hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from the Garden State of New Jersey, Ariel Vizueta. Glass shatters. What's up, dude?
I'm good, man. How are you, man?
Good.
Thank you for having me. I am
Of course.
beyond excited.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Sorry, over the
No,
moon.
you're good.
Just like I figured, what subject do I love more than myself? None. So I figured this is kind of like the perfect way to do this.
Absolutely.
So if you have the time, which obviously you do,
love talking about themselves.
I think I've had a pretty fun one so far.
You have.
You guys are about to adjust, but I mean, we'll see.
Plug everything up front. You have the podcast.
Yes.
You're a podcaster.
I am a podcaster, a very, very new podcaster. I'm talking about 7 months into the game. The name of the podcast is Primos for Life.
Primos for
That's
life.
right, Primos for Life. Primosforlife.com. We are a wrestling podcast, hence the For Life. So that's how we do. But it's something I started with my cousin about January. Mm-hmm. So it's actually kind of an interesting story in terms of the way we got started. He texted myself and my brother, who are big wrestling fans. We came up with Hulk Hogan, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
So we came up with him and growing up in the 90s, with the Attitude Era and the NWO, the Monday Night Wars, all that fun stuff. So our cousin, who is probably about 10, 11 years younger than I am, kind of got into it as well. We all started going to shows and talking about it, things like that. He saw kind of a niche, or rather not a niche, a spot for a niche for us to kind of jump into in terms of Latino wrestling.
Yeah.
In terms of discussing Latino wrestling and podcasting and giving a forum to people, of the Latino culture. A lot of wrestling podcasts out there, but there's not really a lot.
But it's all
tailored.
John Cena, The Rock, Stone
It's all
Cold.
WWE, AEW, it's professional stuff.
Yeah.
We'll get into like AAA and stuff like that because there are other federations and things like that, but predominantly it's main roster WWE and AEW type talent. So he called us and he was like, hey, I want to do a wrestling podcast. Do you guys want to be my guests? Sure. Why not? I'll take a Sunday night.
I got nothing to do.
On Sunday night, smoke a bowl.
I got Zoom.
Let's go. Be a guest. So we do it. It was absolutely horrific. It was so bad. It was so bad. I was coming off of being sick. So as a server and bartender, I work.
So we work together.
So as I'm projecting my voice to the tables and the bar guests and everything like that, I start to lose it because, like I said, I was sick.
Yeah.
So it starts to go. The first episode that we've done, I am hoarse, coming off of sickness, sucking on like Luden's cherry, those crappy cough drops that don't do anything.
Yeah,
they
just make
kinda
you feel
taste
like
good.
they're doing something.
It's candy.
Yeah.
Essentially, It's just candy. So I'm having, cherry candy, and we do this podcast, and somehow the next day, my brother wasn't able to make it. My brother had to take my sister to the hospital. There was an emergency. So he wasn't able to do it. And he was like, can you still come on? I said, absolutely. Let's rock.
Real quick, the reason I love your cousin is because as someone who podcasts a lot, when a guest cancels, you're kind of like, Yeah, but are you still coming? Like, I know they have something going on, but like, I kind of need to record.
He has to. Well, actually, he had it in his brain. And Eddie's like you, like, well, no, I'm
we're
in it. Like,
doing this.
Go. Like, I'm gonna go get her. Like, I'm like, yeah, great, dude. If you,
I'll be there.
You give me the time and the place. This is what I said to my wife. I said all the time, give me the time, the place, and the attire.
And I'm there.
Good. Like everything else, just let me know. But so I go. So he listens to it back the first night, and he's like, calls me the next day, and he says, "All right, so I'm doing this, and you are now my co-host." And I went, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Yeah, no." I went back and listened to it. I was like, "I thought it was absolutely terrible." Said it to me. Still think it's absolutely god awful. If you go to the site, please don't listen to the pilot episode. Go right into episode 2 or 1, I guess. But
don't listen to episode
pilot.
0.
Pilot or 0 or 1, just please. So we go back and listen to it. It was, like I said, it was still terrible. But I told him, I said, listen, I got a kid.
Yeah.
I got a job that I'm working full time. I got a family. Like, I can give you on-air time. I can devote time to watching wrestling because I do it anyway.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. It's not something that I was foreign
Which is
to.
perfect for what this show is because you're already doing it.
Exactly. And all you're doing is giving me an excuse to have to watch it now, to sell to my wife. That, I have to watch it.
It's work, babe.
We're trying to get this thing going. So I get to watch it and then spend an hour or two talking to my cousin, my Primo, who I love more than life, about wrestling and just kind of chill.
So I wanted to ask you, because you said the niche, kind of the germination of the idea was a place to talk more about the Latino culture in wrestling.
Well,
you guys still also do like Raw reviews and SmackDowns and like pay-per-views and stuff like that, correct?
Yes, correct. When I say the Latino culture, I think I think I themed that wrong. Or said it wrong. We tend to focus a lot in our interviews with Latino wrestlers and things of that nature. We will of course have anybody on, guests of any kind of talent. But right now we figure that's kind of an area where we can get more. Of course. It's easier to pull the Latino wrestlers for a Latino podcast. Yeah. And if that helps us bring eyes to the Latino community and then we can start branching out everywhere else, that ultimately is the ideal dream.
Because that's a huge thing in the Latino culture is
Lucha Libre.
Lucha Libre. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because the first question that we ask when we have a guest on, whether it be a wrestler or just someone who watches that we just want to kind of have a conversation with. Yeah. Hey, did you watch SmackDown? Let's talk about it this week. We'll ask, do you remember your first memory of wrestling? Whether it was like a specific moment, whether it was like, because Eddie always says his was when Kane made his appearance.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Undertaker,
Yeah.
And then Jim Ross is yelling, Kane is alive! That's gotta be Kane! That's gotta be Kane! It's just going crazy. It's awesome. Yeah. So he's like, that's his moment. Mine is truly, I'm older, so I'm 46. So mine was early 80s, sitting on my grandfather's lap in his living room in the Bronx, watching Lucha Libre on Univision, like watching it. So that's the memory that I have. So Lucha Libre is huge, and has always been in terms of my core memory in terms of this wrestling game. Now, once again, came up with Hogan. Yeah. Once I got into WWF,
it was over.
It's over. And so, yes, we focus on that because that is where wrestling is at now. But I think we kind of want to start with the niche of where we are so that we can kind of welcome everybody in terms of, casting a smaller net before we go for the broader one.
Yeah, well, and it makes
and I don't feel bad like I'm using my culture. Yeah. Because I kind of feel like people might look at it that way. I don't want to. I'm not. I want people to listen to the podcast and listen to these, Hispanic.
You've had a lot of wrestlers.
We recently had Ortiz.
Yeah,
it was an AEW Inner Circle.
Huge,
we just finished.
When I saw you guys, your cousin post about it, I was like, I recognize that guy. And I was like, holy shit, that's the guy from AEW.
Inner Circle, man. He was with Jericho.
Because I was doing AEW during the pandemic. Tony Khan was one of our regulars at the restaurant I worked at.
Oh, yeah.
So during the pandemic, when they could only invite friends and family, he would come to the restaurant and just be like, hey, do you guys want to come watch Dynamite? And I tell people all the time, and we've talked about this, you and I, but it was the coolest experience because there's nobody in Daly's place, like where they filmed it.
Right.
So you walk in and it's like me and like maybe 100 other people, 75 of which I know, like personally, because like we work together and stuff.
Right.
And then because it's during COVID, so the wrestlers, like we're all masked and distanced and all that kind of stuff, but the wrestlers are just walking around.
Right. So
like they're not back in the lot. So I'm like seeing Billy Gunn and I'm like, fucking Billy Gunn!
Mr. Mr. Ass, Mr. Ass.
And so that was so cool. But then again, like I got to like see all that stuff.
See all the behind and all the
and it was
down to
so
earth. And
cool.
that's another thing we want to do is we want to have these wrestlers on so that people can also see. And you know, it's not like that, like the celebrity magazines. They're people just like you, like, you know. But yeah, we kind of want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel kind of cheesy doing it, but it's like like the humble beginnings, these starts and things of that nature.
It's so hard. It's not like others.
I mean,
as someone who played Division I football, the difference is wrestling.
You played D1 football?
Yeah. Did you know that?
Never mentioned that before, bro.
You son of a bitch.
Bro, seriously?
Yeah, I played Division I football in Florida, the state of Florida. But the difference is so drastic because becoming a wrestler, I heard Becky Lynch on a podcast a few weeks ago, and becoming a wrestler is very much like becoming a stand-up or becoming an artist. It's like you really have to want to do it.
Yeah.
You have to pay your way to go to Orlando to do the training schools and all that kind of stuff, or Tampa.
Yep.
You have to like invest in yourself to be like, this is what I want to do.
Absolutely.
Whereas with most other sports, it's like, oh, if you're really good, then somebody finds you and then they just kind of skate you through.
Scholarship along.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff.
Things
Yeah,
like
so it's a fascinating thing because the people who are in wrestling like want to be wrestlers.
It's the love that comes across more than anything else during these interviews that these athletes have.
Yeah.
Every time we speak to somebody, you can truly feel the love that they have for this sport and what they do. And especially being from the Latino culture, a lot of them pride themselves on, you know, we're talking about people who came out in their 80s and 90s when, I mean, racism has always been a thing, but it still was a tough thing. You know, talk to the Tito Santanas of the world. You know, the guys who were put into the Matador gimmicks. Yeah, like stuff like that.
Well, and then they had who was that guy in the WWE? That was almost like a joke. I can't even remember his name. He always came out with the chair. But I remember seeing him. He wore the skeleton.
La Parka.
Okay, is that who it was?
La Parka.
But it was like a thing where, but it was kind of like a joke. But he was actually a really good wrestler.
He was a great.
So it kind of transformed into like, oh no, this guy's legit. But I remember when I first saw him, it was very like racistly charged. Like, oh, look at this fucking guy, and he would like run around the ring and stuff. And it was like, it was very like a joke.
It was very.
But then he started fucking people up, and you're like, oh, this dude can wrestle
off the rope and shit. Yeah. Much different ball game, absolutely. But it was very campy. And that's why we were like, we
campy is the best word to describe it.
Right. We want to give these people the opportunity to thank them for not being so campy. Yes, sometimes there's still caricatures of the Latinos played up. You know, Ortiz said himself, he's in a bunch of street fights and he's a bunch of things like that. You know, the Latino gangs, you know, from the Bronx. Of course, like things like that.
Him and Mankind, two guys doing street fights.
That's it, just forever. Like
a 6'5" chubby white guy in the Latinos,
and a 5'7" Puerto Rican dude.
Have you so obviously in my estimation, the ultimate kind of golden chalice guest would be Rey Mysterio.
I mean,
shout out Ray for listening.
He's the guy. Yeah. I mean, with the exception of Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, obviously, rest in peace.
Eddie Guerrero.
But, you know, Eddie's not with us any longer.
He's not. But
Eddie would have been my first guest, obviously, as like the Primo guest, but he's gone.
He, unfortunately, you know, and that's the other thing we're learning is the bumps and the bruises that these guys take. And, you know, as we're talking to our guests, and they're just like, it's I forget what I'm saying sometimes, like even mid-interview, because I'm like, because you've taken the bumps, and they're like, and it's just, that's the other thing that really sucks about it, you know, for these guys is they have a very short shelf life that they have to cash in on if they want to make it in this game.
Well, because it's also one of those things, I've been on wrestling mats, like they're not, like everyone's like, oh, it's like wrestling on a mattress, and you're like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
It hurts.
No, there's a thin layer of padding, about that big, and then...
And there's like give to it, but it's not like, it's more like if you go like to a gymnasium and you go like where the gymnasts do the floor routine, like there's give, but it's hard.
Exactly. It's still a very sturdy thing. You're dropping a lot of weight on there.
Yeah.
You're talking about 300-pound man suplexing another man right through it.
It's like 600 pounds going,
Plus the inertia and all that shit.
Force. Like, look at you, inertia.
That's it. I went to high school. A little bit of college.
But yeah, so.
But not D1 football.
It is crazy. It is crazy the amount of like pain that these guys go through. And I mean, some of them have been very open about it. Obviously, Dark Side of the Ring is a big thing that I watch.
Love those.
Like, and it's very much like, and you know, I hate to bring it up, but like the whole Chris Benoit story, it was like, his finishing move was giving himself a concussion.
And he was told this.
Yeah.
Be careful with this move.
And he was like,
because
fuck you.
They think they said it was from the British Bulldogs, not Davey Boy's. Dynamite Kid.
Yeah.
Dynamite Kid used to do his finisher, and they were like, he said, I'm messing myself up every time I do it. There's no protection from my head.
Yeah.
I'm jumping literally onto your shoulder and your head with mine, no protection. So over time, that can't be anything but terrible for your brain. But I mean, even because, as I said, my brother and I were big wrestling fans. Tito Santana was huge in our house growing up because he was the Latino. And my brother, one of his best friends, got him a cameo for Tito Santana for his birthday. And we were kind of like, it was a year ago. And we were like, oh man, Tito's like old and kind of punch drunk, but good for him. My birthday this past year, which was a couple weeks ago, my brother had Tito Santana send me one. And you could see even in that the year or two difference, just it's
crazy because as someone who's had a bunch of concussions, it is one of those weird things where I'm like, man, this is going to affect me for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with like football. Like I'll talk to people all the time, and I've said it on my sports show a bunch, but it's very much like, yeah, but are you willing to trade those 2 years because that was the most fun is when I played college football. Like high school is whatever, but like the 2 years that I played in college, it's like, are you willing to trade that to get 10, 15, 20 extra years on your life? And still, as being 37, being 15 years removed from it, I'm still just like, I don't think so, though.
No, it's a tough one.
Like it was literally the best time of my entire life was having that, like,
it's 2 years versus 15.
But then you're like, again, as I get older and I'll like pull my keys out and just drop them, which is something I never do. Or I'm somewhat of an athlete. If I trip at work, I'm like, that never used to happen.
Right. I'm more coordinated than this.
Yeah, and then I'll start being like, is that bill coming due? Or I'm like, fuck.
You're like, damn, those headshots. Son of a bitch.
So I wanted to ask you, because you do have quite a few stories. You grew up in the Northeast. You grew up in this area, correct?
Yes, yeah. So I was born right here in Bellevue Hospital, not here, in Manhattan, in Bellevue Hospital. Spent some time in Queens, a little time in the Bronx, then ultimately moved out to Jersey because my parents were like, it's cheaper out in Jersey. Yeah. It's quiet.
It's so funny.
The town is a mile by a mile. You're good and safe. And
we were doing a little bit of just like very, very early on house looking on Zillow. Tracy and I, who I'm contractually obligated to mention on every podcast, my beautiful girlfriend, but one of those things where it's like, well, eventually we're going to, because we have a lot of space now, but it's like, well, we want to have a family. Eventually we're going to have to move. Yeah. So we're like looking at houses because she's like, well, our compromise was I still want to be close enough to the city where I can come in for work. So I don't want to move to like an hour away.
Right.
But she wants a yard. So it's like, a house with a yard and stuff. So it's like, all right, well, let's meet in the middle. So we're looking like deep in Queens and like Westchester County and stuff. And everything's so expensive. And then finally I was like, why don't we just look at Jersey? Why don't we just look? And then she was like, babe, look at all these houses.
There is people knock Jersey all the time. But even though, I'm born and bred New Yorker, I claim Jersey, man. Jersey is real. I'm Jersey strong, man. Jersey's fantastic. I have moved a bunch of different places, and the house where I bought with my wife to raise our child is one town away from the town I grew up in that my parents bought 40-something years ago.
And you guys got a nice place.
Yeah, thank you,
I've seen it. It's nice.
Thank you very much.
And so it is one of those things where it's like, are we going to be those people where it's like, well, it's New Jersey, we're not going there. It's like, yeah, but look at the size of the house for half the price that it is in Manhattan or like Queens or whatever.
Which you can turn around and sell it for later on because it will appraise in value.
Yeah.
And we moved right by the PATH station. So we have that access to get into the city whenever we want, 24 hours, 7 days a week. So people knock it, but if you find the right spot in Jersey, man, it's great because it takes me easier sometimes than it would for people coming in. I used to live up in Washington Heights with my girl. That one train is
well, and that's the same thing here in Queens. The NW, it's like
they're never working.
They're never working. Every weekend, it's like, hey, get on the train at Astoria because it's skipping the stop, or like coming home from work.
We honor bus paths.
Yeah, and we work at night, so a lot of times it's like, well, after 11 o'clock, it's not working through the weekend, and it's like, cool, I'm not going to get out until 12:30. Awesome,
so
great. How am I supposed to get home now? I want to ask you because, like you said, you always ask your guests very specific questions. I always have very loaded questions for my guests.
Sure.
When was the first time? Because every culture is different. So I've had people on who grew up in Europe. I've had people who grew up in South America, and then obviously people who grew up in America. Every culture is different when it comes to like drinking and partying. Okay. I know that's a big kind of fabric of the society's family, like being together and stuff, and the Latino culture. When was it the first time where you were like drinking? Like when was the first time you can remember like drinking?
Okay.
Was it with your family? Was it with friends? Was it high school?
First time I can remember having a drink. That
this is good.
That my father was like, yeah. And he tipped the Budweiser can into my mouth. Man, I was like, Pop, sorry. I was like 7, 8 years old when Pop was like, man, just try it. Like, because I was bothering him. And he was like, all right, like, here you go. Like, here's a little bit right here. Like, just a quick shot. And then I was like, oh, okay, no.
This is disgusting.
Like, I'm off. And then I think I want to say, I was maybe 12, 13. We were at a family party in Maryland, and there was some kind of Ecuadorian like national or something there. I was a kid. My brother was maybe 15, 16. And my older cousin / younger uncle was a bartender, so he knew how to make all the sweet drinks, the grasshoppers, the pink ladies, the whatever, this and that. So we started walking around. We learned the recipe from watching him do it. So we started making them at the parties and everything. And that's the first time I can remember doing it because my brother got annihilated.
Oh, really?
To where the point where the Ecuadorian national had to walk up to my parents and be like, "Yeah, man, give him some bread to soak up the alcohol." I'm sitting there, I was like, oh shit, we done fucked up now. Like
they know.
So yeah, it was young. I mean, then not like we did that every time.
No, yeah, for sure.
Like that. But we would find a way to sneak downstairs. Because the other thing was, in our basement in North Arlington where I grew up, whenever we had the family party, even if it was a kid's party, it was for the first portion, it was the hour, and then the kids go upstairs, the parents turn the music on, and they dance and drink in the basement. So we'd always find a way to sneak downstairs, get the Chivas bottle, pour a little in, go back up,
Well, and it is a funny thing because our super Hugo, great guy, Latin guy, and it's so funny because he's older. But every Saturday, I joke with Tracy because we get home from work late. So every Saturday when I'm coming home, he's got his super apartment, which is like right when you walk in, it's right there. It's a huge apartment. And you just hear like music blaring and stuff. And they used to not have, they've since like in the last 6 months have gotten like one of those, a fog for the window.
So like you can't just see it.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I remember coming home on Saturdays and I used to just be like in the window, like, what is going on here? There's like 15 people in there, and we're coming home. It's 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when we're getting off work coming home. So you're like, you guys are like raging out here, huh?
We would have these parties. Like I felt bad for our neighbors because I'm talking. This is the mid '80s.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were bringing the property value down where we moved. Okay, like we were as ethnic as you got till like 89, and then like we started getting a heavier dose of Portuguese guys, and it was it was pretty. So our neighbors, I kind of felt bad for, but we would have cars in the driveway and we lived on the corner.
Yeah.
So this side was blocked with parking, and this side was blocked, cars in the driveway, and the music was to be blasted until 2, 3 in the morning, and then I felt really bad because motherfuckers. This was when Uber was around, so motherfuckers was drinking and driving.
Oh
so
yeah, they're like, all right, see you next week.
Oh shit! Just everyone be careful, please.
Well, that's something I've actually found because we've done like poker nights and stuff like that sometimes. But it is an interesting thing, just being a generation removed from like that to like how we are now. Like, because I've like hung out with you, and it's so funny. By like 10:30, you're like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go home.
Time to hit the old dusty trail. Like, I'm so over it. Like, well, this thing, because I'm, like I said, I'm 46, and I'm not saying I've traveled, and because there's people have lived life so much more, but I'm a bartender and a server in New York I've been in this game on and off since I was 19, 20.
Yeah,
on and off. Like, and I'd say on more so than ever off by a ratio of 90 to 10.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot, seen a lot, like not live vicariously through people, but I've lived enough where I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm tired now. So 10:30 rolls around. It's pretty adequate timing for me to, because it's still gonna take me a little time to get home.
And you got the little man too, who's waking you up at like 7 a.m.
That's the last thing. Daddy, it's like, oh shit, time's 6:43. I'm looking at one eye. I'm like, all right.
Let's talk about it. So when you first got into it, because obviously raised in this area, when you first got into bartending, how did that even happen?
Well, so I bartended once for a buddy of mine in his place over in Newark. It was truly a one-time thing.
And this is when you were like 19?
I was 17.
Okay.
Just helping out. Like I helped like bar back one time and like helped like bartend there.
Yeah.
So I just told everyone that I had bartended at a bar in Newark. So I just lied my face off profusely. So then I got to college, joined a fraternity, stuff like that. A couple of my fraternity brothers took a bartending class.
Yeah.
And it was like, $100, whatever, cha-cha-cha. And I was like, no, those things are for suckers. They took it. They got hired by random bars out in Jersey, the Sticks, where you don't need anything and you can train somebody.
You literally could have just shown up and been like, hey.
I want to learn to bartend. They'll be like, sure, I have a bartending certificate. Great.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh shit, I have this, like this is an opportunity. I might be able to do something with this. So I did the same thing. I said, I got $100. Like, let's go. I did it, but I wanted to work in New York and the busier spots in Jersey. And there it was just, you had to have experience. Like that's all that it was. You couldn't.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, even now when they like comics and stuff will reach out to me and be like, hey, is your restaurant hiring? And I'm like, not you.
Yeah. Sorry. Like
You've never worked in a restaurant, dude. I can't help you.
That's it. You can like dishwash. You don't be disrespectful.
Yeah.
But that's what you can do.
Well, that's the same thing. It's like, I'm like, dude, you're a 22-year-old like white kid from suburbia, Wisconsin, whose parents paid for everything your whole life. Like, you've never had to work in a restaurant to make rent. Like, you don't understand
for anything.
what the hustle is.
Hustle.
And in New York, it's like, amp that up to 15, man. Like, we're going.
We have a speed that other people don't have.
Yeah.
The speed in New York is so much more different. Like, I haven't been, like, all the way across the country. Like, I have not. But places in the country I've been, I'm like, oh, you motherfuckers just, like, this. It's Mosey is a speed most places. Motherfuckers get stuck on Mosey, and I'm just like, I don't know where I'm going when I'm moving so faster than you. It's very annoying.
I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm so much faster.
It's just, So it's crazy here, but you need to have that experience.
Yeah.
So I started kind of just getting serving jobs through friends. And then shout out to my boy Sean.
Shout out Sean.
Shout out Fritch, who got me a job at the ESPN restaurant in
Oh,
Times
back
Square.
when that was a thing, yeah.
And this was probably like 02.
So this is like one of the first.
This was my first
like corporate, here we go.
proper, like, and they were like, and I'd worked at like Hula Hands in Secaucus, New Jersey. I had done a couple more shifts with my buddy at his diner in Jersey.
Yeah.
So I was like, but luckily Sean and his girlfriend Kim, shout out to Kim also, they both were like, no, you're hiring this guy because he's personality.
Yeah.
Like he'll be fine. He can
There are
do
a few cases where in our restaurant currently where we've been able to be like, no, this is a favor for me,
right?
And you're gonna please
just meet him.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is just meet him.
Just meet him.
Just meet him. And then I went there, and Karen was mad cool. She was like, "Oh, okay." Then she saw it. She's like, "Yep." And then one of the other managers was like, "He only has experience." Karen's like, "Don't worry about it.
We'll
Trust
figure it
me."
out.
Like,
I have faith enough in our training ability.
Right.
We'll get him going.
And then in the training, then I became a trainer later on, and I saw the training book that they had. And when I looked at my class, there was 5 of us, and Eric, who was the trainer, was like, "Best of the class is going to be Ariel."
Wow.
So that off jump. And I was like,
walking in.
Thank you, ED. Yeah.
Glass shatters. Here he comes.
I was like, great, cool. Let's do it. And I did well enough there and kind of kept just lying my way to different places to like.
Well, I want to ask you with the first stop. Because are you still going to college at this point, or were you like, no?
No. So college I was working retail and when I was in college.
Yeah.
So I was working in the Willowbrook Mall in Wayne, New Jersey, at a store called Going to the Game.
Okay.
Now, if remember, if anyone's familiar with Going to the Game, because this is a throwback store. We're talking. This is Champs. Before Champs was like more Jersey, because this was Jersey centric. So this was, jerseys. Then they started getting to like the Puff Daddy colors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is like the late 90s and stuff. But there used to be a pink Cadillac in the front of the store.
Of course it
and
was.
I was in college for a year. My fraternity brother or a year and a half, 2 years. My fraternity brother got me the job there. And then I just realized college wasn't for me.
No, and that's actually, it's interesting because
wasn't.
as a comic, I'm always like, yeah, if I would have just gotten straight into stand-up instead of going to college, I would have been so much further along. But then also, my style is storytelling, but it's like, yeah, but all my stories are from going to college. So it's like, fuck, like, you know, it's a half dozen in one, 6 in the other. So for you, I say this to people all the time, especially because like I have younger nieces and stuff, and everyone's so obsessed with like this dream of going to college, but that was gone with our parents.
That's it.
Like, you're a little older than me, but that whole like, you can work your way through college and come out with no loans and then get a job where you can support a family.
No.
That died a long time ago.
A long time ago.
I have plenty of friends who graduate college and have really good jobs, and they're working like 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Or they went to law school or med school and have like these super advanced degrees.
But the bills that they have to pay for those degrees.
I have one friend, a very close friend, who went to law school, and I just assumed everything was paid for her. And then we were talking about it, and they were like, yeah, I've got like about $180,000 in student loan debt. And I was like, wait, I thought you were like a rich kid who got everything taken care of.
No,
she was like, no, that's not how that worked.
No, brother.
She's like, my parents helped me. It would have been $250 without them, but like still.
God, no, that's.
But see, like that's the thing is, it's like, so I applaud anybody who gets into higher education and goes, this isn't for me.
I haven't finished the story yet. There's a little bit here. So then I took the year off and then realized, okay, well, I do kind of need to get a job. Working the retail gigs is not going to be, I'm making hourly, you know, and I was maybe a 19, 20-year-old kid. So it was beer money in my pocket and pay my car insurance and whatever else I had to pay. Because mom and dad were like, you live in here, but you old enough, so you pay your bills, we'll cover rent and food. And then
but you got to cover your stuff.
But you have to be able to live your life. Great, cool, you're right, 100%. So I worked for like a shipping company. I worked as an import coordinator.
I think I know where this story's going.
No. That wasn't very long because that job kind of bothered me so many ways because that was up in the Alpine section of Jersey, which is like the rich, nice area where Chris Rock lives, and shit like that. And now
you know the great Eddie Murphy line when they go, "Hey, why do you live in New Jersey and not New York?" He goes, "Because you can't be rich in New York. I'm super rich in New Jersey."
Fuck, there's money. Wendy Williams' house is up there.
Oh, Wendy.
Like poor Wendy. But like, and I would go up there. Now, mind you, once again, 21, 22-year-old kid. I'm driving up there in this beat up. Was it a Mercury Sable?
Yeah, it was.
It was a dark mint green Mercury Sable.
Yeah, it was.
There was purple tints that someone had tried scraping off but couldn't get fully off.
Of course.
So
you just have these scratches of purple? I have
scratches of purple all over the place. I'm a 21-year-old kid, Latino kid, driving through this. So I got pulled over.
Every day.
To the point where my boss had to call the police station and say,
really?
He's late to work 3 times a week because he's getting pulled over. If you run this plate, leave the boy alone. Like, he's here.
Just coming to work.
He works for us. Like, literally had to do that shit. And actually, that was funny because coming home from work there one time, I beat a DUI stop in that town. And
was that because they told him not to?
No. I just beat the DUI stop because I was able to speak and not sing the alphabet. And luckily I wasn't like crazy.
They got me with that, yeah.
But and I was just like, oh, you just let me talk it? Sure. So I did it. And the guy was like, he was looking at me like, questionable, like, but answered all the right questions.
Yeah.
And then he did run it and saw that I worked in the area. So that did help. I'd say about 8 blocks later, I'm looking at the highway that I got to go to work. I get pulled over again.
Really?
I'm like, the guy comes out, excuse me, sir. And I'm like, officer, before we start anything, I literally just got pulled over by one of your other guys like 5 minutes ago. If you call it in, he can tell you we just did all of this. He's like, hang on. So he goes back, he does, he's like, yeah, Mercury Sable, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, let him go. Like, thank God. Oh my God, thank God. It's like, oh, driving like this the entire way home, but I was shook. But yeah, that job. So I did all those like odd jobs, whatever, and then I went back to school for computer networking And just because I saw that that's computers was definitely where everything was
that's the
going.
thing.
But I had left Seton Hall University at this point. So I went
Damn,
to
you went to Seton Hall?
Seton Hall.
Woo!
I was a bright kid, man. I was a bright kid. There was promise. So
There was promise.
there was. So I went to the was now I think like PC school or whatever. Back then it was the Chubb Institute.
Okay.
Chubb,
Yeah,
Chubb,
it was.
yeah, it was. So I went there. I was working on the degree, and I was doing great. I was doing well. And then maybe a couple weeks before we graduate, and we're able to go out and start looking for jobs, 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
And when I tell you, B, man, the memory is etched in my mind forever because I'm in school in Jersey City. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the geographic locations. So, World Trade Center's here. It's the river, and Jersey City is like there.
Jersey City looks on
Like
to,
I was, right?
You can see the financial
So
district
I
from
was
there.
on Kennedy Boulevard, which is the main road, seeing everything that you can see there. And we're sitting there. Now, mind you, it's a computer class. So we have our computers out, our laptops out, and the news starts coming in. Plane at the tower, right across the way. My father's a cab driver in New York. I'm losing my mind because he's downtown. He's bringing people around.
Yeah.
You know, my mom works at the American Federation of Musicians right in Midtown. Luckily, she was out of town that day. So I was like, great. I don't got to worry about mom, but pop still. So I leave. I pack my shit up. I'm like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm leaving.
I gotta go, yeah.
Like, other things, I can get the notes tomorrow for class,
Yeah.
not knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I run across the street. I go to the parking deck. I never park on the top deck. Never. I don't know why. It's something I don't like doing. The heat, the sun, all of it. Don't like it. Parked on the top deck. On the top deck. I call my girlfriend at the time. And I'm watching as the plane is inside this building. And I watch it crumble.
Damn.
And all I could keep thinking to myself was, you just witnessed the last moment. So many lives.
Yeah.
And it destroyed me, bro.
Yeah.
That shit,
I couldn't
that
imagine
shit
seeing
hurt
something like
so
that,
bad,
dude.
bro. Oh my God, it was. And then my immediate thought was, I gotta go. Like
Yeah.
I gotta make sure everyone that I know is safe, and I have to find out what's happening because this is. You know, we had
It's
nothing.
huge.
We had nothing, you know.
Well, and we've no
So-
one ever had experienced anything like that in the country before because it's never happened.
It's never been an issue
Here,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, man. So I did that, and then unfortunately, because of that horrific event, to be greedily getting back to my portion of the story, everyone was out of work.
Yeah.
So that degree that I now was about to obtain, everyone who had that degree, who had years of experience, was now willing to take the same amount I was because they didn't have a job. Because
It's because
New York just got fucking shut down.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, all right, let me get back into bartending and serving. I can still make some quick money. And
So had you been were you at the ESPN place
So
before
this
all
was
this?
no, this was.
So this is
after-
what predicated.
This is so right after, because that was 2001, and I started working at the Zone in 02.
So all that happens, and then you're like, let me just go get some quick cash. I'll talk to my buddy.
So, well, what happened with my buddy was my brother and I went to Seton Hall University, and my brother had gotten, don't think it was a DUI. I think it was suspended license for points for tickets because my
Yeah.
brother's a moron who I love.
He has to get everywhere fast, man.
He's a moron. So there was a year that I was driving this fool to and from school. Because we both went to Seton Hall.
Yeah.
So we were in the same fraternity. And luckily, all our brothers were cool who lived there. They're like, yeah, if you want to come hang out in the room for a couple hours and chill before class or whatever, do it. Knock yourself out, And so I would bring my brother there, and then I started taking him to his job. He got a job at the mall, too, because I'm like, I work at the mall.
Yeah.
If you want to get a job, it's got to be at the mall.
That's where we're going.
That's where I'm going. So he got a job in a restaurant in the mall. Met Karen, who's now his wife, and this is 01. It's like 2000. This is So they've been together forever. So they met there, and through her, I met this guy Sean, who I've since lived with, and is one of my best friends in the world. But he was like, yeah, no, I'll get you a job at the ESPN Zone. When I'm like, I just left this job, I'm at Houlihan's right now. He's like, I'll get you in at the Zone. And I remember it was 02. Time at the Zone?
Yeah, like, I mean, because we all have this experience as people who are career servers and bartenders where you get that job or a job. Mine was Outback. I was 18 years old. Again, no serving experience. Right. And this is when Outback, this is, 2006, when Outback was actually like a legit spot.
Outback was good.
Yeah. And I remember going to the interview and talking to, shout out Denise, talking to our proprietor. Because in order to be they're called general managers now. But back then, in order to be the head honcho of an Outback, you had to invest your own money.
Right.
So you actually
yeah.
owned a percentage of it.
Yep.
So you had to invest like tens of thousands of dollars, and then you became the proprietor, which is basically a general manager who owns a stock of that particular company.
Right.
And I remember talking to her, and she was like, "Well, you don't have any serving experience." And same thing. One of my best friends in the whole world, shout out Shannon Dangler, he got me the job there because he was a server there. It was one of these weird things where he was an immigrant, so he was always like 3 years older than everyone else in the class. So like he was 21 when we were all like 18, but because he came over from a different country, it was a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I remember he got the job there when he was like 19. So when he was like a junior in high school, he was working as a server at a restaurant, which we had never heard of. So he was there for like a year and a half and then got me the job. And I'll never forget, we were sitting in the interview and she goes, "Well, I normally will never hire a server," same thing, that doesn't have any experience. She was like, "But you're kind of a really gregarious guy." She goes, "I know you're going to do well here." So then she's like, "We're going to skip the busing. We're going to skip the hosting. Like, we'll go right into server."
Nice. Right.
And but to the point I was trying to make was like, I remember those first couple of shifts as like a kid, like you said, you're like 20, 21. I was like 18.
Yeah.
Getting leaving in 2006, walking out of a restaurant with like $190
straight cash in your pocket.
and you were like, my rent's only $600 a month. It's like
$550 was mine.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing, man?
My third was $550.
I was like, let's fucking go. So for you, was it a similar thing where, because ESPN Zone's in the heart of Times Square, it's busy as shit.
So ESPN Zone back then too was a different beast than what it became. I got there at the tail end of what was the golden era of ESPN Zone, and like I'm in the ESPN Zone chat with a bunch of other ESPN people, and people will say no, whatever, because I'm one of the older heads there, not even the oldest, but one of there. So I still call it the golden age, because after that it started to get a lot more corporate.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was there where there was one room that was the Bristol Suite, and it was one big TV and like the big glass window so you could see out to 42nd Street in Times Square and all the tables. And then next to it was the screening room. And there was a big bar there and maybe like, call it 15 to 20 tables. But they had two huge Proc TVs that were 10 feet by whatever, and then 12 around those.
And you're a sports fan, so you're like, fucking, let's go.
In it. I'm in every fantasy league, 13-run pool. I remember once my chef heard me cursing at somebody. He was like, "Oh, man, the Ariel must really be a Yankees fan or something like that." Because I had a 13-run pool. You're familiar with those.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And so I needed like 11. I had the Angels. They were playing the Yankees. I needed 11. They have 11. They hit a grounder to Jason Giambi, who's playing first. And I'm like, routine play. Perfect. I'm about to clear like $3,000.
Holy shit.
Let's fucking go. Giambi boots it. I'm in front of Proc 2 in the middle of the dining room. Son of a bitch. Giambi, you fuck. And then I realized I'm at work and I'm like, I headed to the kitchen. And I was looking at me like, oh, fuck, he's a man. So this motherfucker just cost me $3,000. I don't know how. I don't know where any manager was. I don't
Just out of sight.
Everybody was out there, so I just was like cleaning it up. I walked. Luckily that night,
what was that?
I was
you guys hear that crazy guy?
I was working in what was considered Baseball Tonight, which was the first floor.
Yeah.
So I went back downstairs, and nobody saw me for the rest of the night. Because after that, I was like, I'm not even my little section downstairs. And
I'm gonna hang out here with my tables.
But it was a great job. We were making real good money. And I remember there was a guy there, I love him, and he's since passed. His name was John Ferrugio. And he was a big 80s buff. This guy he loved wrestling. I remember going to a bingo hall in Long Island with him for like a $5 wrestling ticket. And we just had our jacket was lined with Jack Daniels. He brought just like 20 Jack Daniels fits that were little airplane ones that he had in there. And so John, he would talk to me and Sean and my other friend Jason Rollins,
Yeah.
you know, the three of us lived together for a long time. I love those two guys more than life. But John would always say to us, he's like, man, you guys need to save this money. We're like, no, man, we're good. We're gambling and we're doing this. And he's like, bro, I'm older now because John was 33 at the time or whatever, and we're 21, 22. And John's like, I had the best time making the money you guys didn't. It was like, it was all fucking hookers, blow, gambling, and just partying. He's like, I'm older now. Like, you guys should save it. And didn't. And fucking John knew. And
Damn it. I tell you, I do this on a yearly basis. Every summer I go, shit, we're not making nearly as much. I'm out of money. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm going to do this Q4? I'm going to take $100, $200 from every check, put it away.
Stash.
Just so then when the summer comes around, I'm not asking Tracy like, hey, you got me for this.
Can you front me until
can you help me out until,
Uh-huh.
I do it every year, Ariel. And I've been at the restaurant now for 4 years, this restaurant we work at. And every year, I see it coming from a mile away, and then it kicks me in the fucking teeth.
Bro, and I said that when I would train people, because I've been there for like 15 years. I said that when I train people, I'm like, once they get on the floor, and I'm like, quick little tip, just to give you a heads up. Q4 and Q3, this is going to be great, you know? And
you're going to be making so much money, you're like, this is never going to end.
Stash a little extra. Because the times in the summer get lean. July and August get lean. So, you know, you're taking cuts.
I literally, so I get paid a day early. So I'm looking at my check this morning. And I go, this is impossible. I mean, I only work 3 shifts because of comedy, but I'm also like, 3 shifts in Q4 is like, you're good.
You're good. You're still enough. You're still like, okay.
And now in the summer, it's like half. And you're like, come on, man.
Son of a bitch. I didn't need to get that. I need to go there. Like, oh, yeah. You're counting everything.
So at the time, though, I find this fascinating, and this correlates exactly what the show is. Are you like 21 going out like
every night?
Because you're in New York.
Every night after work, we're at Emmett's, we're at Playwright, we're at Rudy's, we're at Bryant Park, we're at HBO, smoking a blunt before we did anything. Shout out to my boy D.
Shout out D.
My man D. We used to go. Oh man, after every shift, go to HBO, and then we would just.
What's HBO?
So it was the HBO building. It was a building that was up on across from Bryant Park. So let's call it 6th and 41st. No, 43rd. And it was an HBO building. They had a
That's
corporate
just
building.
what everyone called it.
And yeah, but it was an HBO building, so they had the big sign for this HBO, and there was a bunch of benches up front, and the building was more so built like an L to the back and to the side.
Okay.
But they had a big, long kind of patio thing. It's where SDK now resides, I think.
Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it was just benches, and so we would just go there, and at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, cops aren't out there bothering anybody. So we smoke a blunt, then we go to the bars. So we're bar hopping.
So you're getting out at like
night.
12:30 at night.
Depending on the night, yeah. But
that's what I'm saying.
We were working and I learned later on why the day folks were the day folks. And the minute I picked up my first daytime shift, I was like, oh, y'all clearing the same money and you leave at 6 or 4:30 or whatever? I'm like, oh, hell fucking yeah.
Yeah.
So the minute they're like, you want to train and do all this stuff, I was like, yeah, because training means I get my set schedule. I guess when I get my trainer meal, I get this and that. So I get my set schedule. I got myself onto days. Drinking habits changed. Found the places that had the daytime specials and this and that.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, you're right. Because because I went through the same thing when I started working at First Watch. It's a brunch place.
Right.
So it's like I didn't slow down my drinking. I just recalibrated it to different times.
Adjusted to where you're right. If I was working the night shift, I still go to Emmett's.
Yeah.
Or I still go to Me and Fiddler, or I still, whatever. But if I'm working the day shift, now I'm definitely going to Rudy's because they do free hot dogs. And they got the outside set up. We can sit out there, enjoy some sun. So we were just spending money, and I was living in Jersey with the boys at the time, and my chunk of the rent was $550.
God,
and
that's so cheap.
We lived right off because we paid. It was a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, off of Boulevard East, like half a block, and Boulevard East is the main one right across the river. So for $1,550, we living like kings.
Yeah.
All of our girls basically lived with us at the time. We had girls at the time, which was the only downside there was we weren't able to truly take advantage where we should have. But I mean, every night was bar hopping, or I remember a Johnny Walker tasting at 2:00 in the afternoon. We're going to try new flavors.
This was at work?
They came to me at work and they're like, bring 4 or 5 of your friends and we're come to this tasting.
It is the one thing about work. I mean, ESPN Zone is one thing, but like now that we work in a fancier place, there's so many liquor reps that come in and they're like, yeah, just have some. And I've been sober for a long time, so I'm always like, Hey, do you guys want this?
Does somebody want this? Like, yeah, no.
But it is crazy. Like if I was off the wagon, I'd be getting like I see how it can happen sometimes.
This was even before then. This was like he was like, come to this thing. It was like a private party.
Oh wow.
It was damn near on 12th Avenue in like an old warehouse that they truly shut down. Like, you see these movies where you're like, where does this party happen?
That doesn't happen.
This was one of those where I'm like, oh shit, I'm in Hitch. Or like, I mean, Hitch was out at the time or whatever. But I was like, oh shit, like, okay. And I was with my girl, and Rollins brought his girl, and we walked out at like 3 PM. We tasted. There was a fruity Johnny Walker. There was this one. They haven't released any of these flavors since or decided to, because I think because everyone was like, everything we tasted here was horrible.
Yeah.
Nothing was good. Like Johnny Walker's not a fantastic scotch to begin with. But I was like,
bang, bang.
No, sorry. But everything was just like, I was like, oh God. And we walked out and I was like, I need to go to the first bar that we've had to get all of this off my palate. Like, give me a vodka sodas. Just like, I need to refresh.
Get out of this.
But yeah, I mean, like even stuff like that, we were just partying and doing all these fun different things. And like I said, a bunch of times just usually so gone that you don't remember.
Yeah.
You just remember waking up the next day, you got home. You had enough to get on the bus and get your ass home.
Well, and that's a great thing about the city is, and I had a bit about it, but it didn't play because you're doing it in front of New Yorkers, so they don't get it. Right. But as someone with 2 DUIs and countless arrests, it was one of those things where I'd walk on the subway and see like a homeless guy drinking out of a brown paper bag, and everyone would be like, man, that's rough. I feel bad for that guy. And I go, that guy's never going to get a DUI. Well, that's fucking magical,
He gets to go wherever he wants to be, as wasted as he wants.
Yep.
As wasted as he wants to be.
And in my head, I'm like, that's a great draw, bro.
I mean, he's not wrong. But it was, the ESPN was great. But like I said, I think I worked there at the better times because towards the end, more corporate, you had to start spending this much money. Not right, proper crowd wasn't coming in anymore. Yeah. It started to die down. Times Square started to die down. It started to get more and more Disney oriented because ESPN was one of the major first Disney things that came out.
Yeah, that was one of the first ones they acquired.
And then like Lion King came afterwards, and then that big McDonald's that used to be there. This is when they were kind of redoing it. Giuliani had gotten it, and this was post 9/11, so we're trying to come back and try to make everything cleaner. So they started kind of making more and more corporate. So I left. I went to Carmine's. But we did a closing of the ESPN Zone party when they did do it. And
were you there until it closed?
No. I was there, and I got fired because I didn't.
You gotta love it. For those of you listening, not watching, when someone puts "fired" in air quotes.
In air quotes, I got fired because I told them I was starting a new job, working for Sprint. I was gonna do some sales for them, and still work on the side at the restaurant. But I told them I needed 2 weeks. And then I need at least 2 weeks, and I'd be back.
To get everything in order.
Let me know what my schedule is. They never let me know what my schedule is because they didn't. I never went in to look at it.
Yeah.
And like I walk in on like a Thursday. I'm like, let me look. I just missed 3 shifts, so that gave them cause, and I'm like, nobody called me. Fuck all y'all.
Yeah.
Like 'cause you knew what I was doing.
I've been in that position before.
You knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like
when I became a manager finally at Outback, because they started asking me to be a manager when I was like 18. They were like, we could get you in the training program. You'd be like one of the youngest managers. Right. And I was like, no, like I'm going to go to college. Like I'm doing all this stuff. Right. And then over time, like I ended up going to college, finished college, but my drinking had gotten so bad. And then I went to rehab. And the whole time I'm like working at Outback.
Oh, shit.
So like I worked there in the off season when I was a Division I football player. And then I would work there. When I left football, I was working there full time. And it's restaurants. You can be hammered and do the job. And so my drinking and drug use got out of control, but I was still working there. And then I finally took the manager position because I was like, I had met my ex-fiance. Well, now she's my ex-fiance, but I had met the girl who I was going to propose to at the time. And I was like, I need a more stable life. Right. So I was like, I'll take the manager job. But similarly to what you're saying about the quote unquote fired, I remember I asked my RVP for a raise, and I had relapsed at this point and everything. It was terrible. And I had asked the regional vice president for a raise because my general manager came to me and was like, listen, for the amount of work you do, I don't feel comfortable with the amount of money you're making. Because it's corporate. At this point, it's completely corporate. Right. When I first started working there, it was still corporate but very loose. Right. Now it is like super strict. We are a publicly traded company. Yeah. Everything is super strict. So everything comes down to the bottom line for the stockholders. Right. So they were paying me like every 2 weeks, my check was like $850. And I was working 50 to 70 hours a week. Because I'm a manager. Yeah. So you go in and you're there. And you know me, we work together. I'm very much like, I'm not leaving until this is finished.
Everything's done. Yeah. Like things are got to get done. Let's make sure everything's running top of the line.
Like we had some managers who would just sit in the office the entire shift. And I was like, I'm not going to be that manager. I'm going to be great. Right. And I was very good at it, but I wasn't getting paid. So this was going through intermittent periods of sobriety. And I remember I was sitting with my RVP and he goes, you know how you get a raise? You cut your labor costs. You cut your food costs. That's how you give yourself a raise because your bonus. My bonus was like 0.02%.
Right.
He's like, that's how you get a raise. And I remember I ended up getting quote unquote fired because I was like, fuck this place. And I just showed up hammered, like not like a little buzz, hammered out of my mind. I got sent home once. They called me and they're like, if it ever happens again, we're going to fire you. Like literally though, a week later, I showed up and I was like, hey, you guys.
I'm clocking in.
How about my raise now?
I'll cut your costs.
I'll cut your costs right here. And I remember they were like, yeah, you don't work here anymore. I was like, about fucking time.
Oh, you finally wised up.
Well, it took you so long. But I remember it was very much, I mean, it's a different scenario, but very much the same where it's like, fuck you.
Yeah, like, fuck you. No. Like, this is, you like, yeah. So, well, that's why when we went back, and we weren't disrespectful when we went back because then they were like, all right, let's go back. But the old heads came back. We would drink, whatever. And then the night that they had the going away party or the close down party, the cops got called on us.
Really?
Yeah.
From who?
The managers.
So you go back to ESPN Zone.
So we went back to do a farewell party.
Yeah.
And this was like,
none of us are working here anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was some of the new cats, some of the people still were there, whatever. But we had take over there was a little thing called the Skybox.
Yeah.
And it was between the floor that was the arcade and the screening room. And that looked directly into the two big procs. So that was like our private events. And we used to have private functions there. There was a function team specifically for private events.
So you had so many private events. You had your own team.
And you had to, sometimes you get lucky and they'd put you on the function team. But I remember, when I got the job there, they were like, do not try to get on the function team. The function team will cut you. They were serious about that because they made money.
Yeah.
And every time you get put on, now luckily, I'm pretty blessed in that I generally get cool with everybody relatively quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not really a tough pill to swallow most times. So a lot of them were cool with me. And so they'd be like, hey, we get a couple open function spots. They'd be like, Ariel. And this is me new,
Yeah.
And when they needed food runner spots, I was not a food runner, but food runners made money. Because the way we tipped out was the food runner got 20% of your tips. The bar got like 10%. And then the essays got like 20, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the food runner was clearing a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
So
especially in that because it's just condensed to that one function.
So I was like, Karen, can I be running? She's like, well, I don't want to do it, but you're good. So started making money there. But so there were still people who worked there from the times that I was there. But the cops got called on us. The managers called them because they said we were getting too rowdy.
So you're in the Skybox.
So we're in.
You're having a good time.
We're in the Skybox. We're everywhere. We're on all floors. No. We're not just in the Skybox. We've taken over the Skybox, but we're on all 4 floors.
How many of you are there?
Oh my God, you're talking about every ESPN, almost,
like everyone who ever worked there, yeah,
made a pit stop.
Yeah,
at some point. So the hour that I got there was
Karen
late.
come up to you and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to shut this
Karen
down."
Was gone. Karen was gone.
Did the manager come up to you and be like, "Hey, we're going to shut this down"?
I didn't know the managers by then.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
I had been gone for so long that I was just like, "Oh,
dude,
you're a manager? Sorry." And then he's like, "Whoever." I'm like, "Mike, sorry about this." Like,
so the cops show up.
Cops show up. Luckily, once I heard the cops were called, I was like, "Jay,
like, can we get our tab, Jason? Start the car. Can we get our tab?
We're out the door. We bailed as fast as possible." But yeah, in true us fashion, we exited
Dude, I've
that
been shit
job.
like that before when I was still drinking back in Florida, where I'd go back to my old Outback, and this is like years later. It's none of the same people, and I would just be. It's like. The one like our Pablo, like the one grill guy is still there, and there's like a couple of busters that are still there, and I would be hammered, and I would just walk into the kitchen.
Like you still ran the
place. And I'd be like working expo, and then the manager would come up and be like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it," and I'd be like, "D, tell him who I am," because it would be the one broiler guy. Yeah. So I'd be like, "D, tell him who I am, man. I got this. Watch out."
I'm just waiting on the bloomin' onion sauce.
Dude, I did that like twice, and I had 2 different Outbacks that I had worked at, and they were not happy about it.
No, I can't imagine just someone in plain clothes walking back there and taking over the line. Would be...
It's like when Scott, friend of the show, and Scott, he comes to the restaurant all the time. It's like when Scott, like after watching a new season of The Bear, will come into our restaurant and get drunk and then like try to walk in the kitchen. I'm like, stop it! You can't come back here.
No, dude, no. Your footwear alone.
I was like, he's like, what? Everybody knows me. Everybody loves
safety
me.
Steps? No, those safety steps, man.
I'm like, yes, we love you, but you can't just walk into the kitchen drunk because you saw one season of The Bear.
Yeah. And now you feel you know what you're talking about. You're going to go change chef's mind about everything. You know what garnish doesn't work? the Tobacco. No.
Microgreens are so passe now. It's like, shut the fuck up. So then you go from, how long were you doing the sprint thing before you ended up at Carmine's?
Well, I was doing, actually, I left Carmine's to do Sprint.
Okay.
I did Sprint for a little while. They moved me down to a different store in West 4th. And then I ended up selling women's shoes.
Al Bundy style.
Yes. Then I ended up in Nordstrom. So I left Sprint because it was a pain in the ass. I hated it. But the way I did it was genius. Because the way I was able to stack everything.
Because you're not making the same money at Sprint that you were at the restaurant.
No.
Yeah.
I was making commission checks and stuff
Yeah.
from new lines of service and things like that in my base. But it still wasn't that. And it wasn't the cash in hand. The way I was able to quit, though, was genius because I stacked my 2-week vacation on top of my 2-week notice, but slipped in my sick time. I got like the last 3 weeks, I got paid for it. I didn't have to work.
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't know how I worked it out, and I forget who I did it to.
That's Seton Hall.
And
right
they
there,
were literally
baby.
like, holy shit, I love you. Because only you would take the time to figure out how you could work as little as possible and get paid the maximum amount of money. And I was
You're like, thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, so then I went to selling women's shoes at Nordstrom in the Short Hills Mall back in Jersey.
Yeah.
Where I worked for about 8 months selling women's shoes. And that was relatively lucrative because I started working in the more finer women's shoe department.
Yeah.
The salon shoe section.
There we go.
The guy was like, oh, I like you. He's like,
Because
I
you're
don't mind
getting
if
paid
you
on
come over
commission
and
on
you.
that, right?
He's like, I don't mind if you come over and sell in our section because if you were BP, which was the lower end, then there was women's shoes, then there was salon. You never wanted to see BP bleed into women's or either of them bleed into salon. But he's always like, I like you. You can bleed into salon.
Yeah.
So a couple of Stuart Weitzmans, a couple
Let's
$500
go.
joints. You know, I remember Uggs season was. This is when Uggs were like the hot, bro.
Yeah. Hell on earth.
We couldn't keep Uggs to save our lives, bro. Oh my God, they'd come in and we had a personal book that we had to reach out to all of our guests. Put this aside, put this aside, put this aside. Sales were done after our personal books. Sales would last 3 hours.
Yeah.
We would hardly have anything else. But I did that for quite some time, and then I got back into bartending at 5 Napkin Burger, which
Okay.
I opened after I got fired from Nordstrom for DUI
Oh, really?
because I wasn't able to drive to work anymore.
Oh, shit.
So what happened was
You see what happened?
I was working Nordstrom, and I had taken on a second job working the door at a bar in the town that I grew up in with 2 of my best friends, Brian and Ronnie, who to this day I still love more than life itself. Brian and Ronnie was some place.
Shout out.
I love these guys.
Do you have a lot of people in your life you love more than life
Bro,
itself?
I've been so blessed, and I wholeheartedly mean this, that like I've been blessed with good friends, and I also choose to keep the good people
Yeah.
around. You know, like, I mean, I've known Ronnie since I was fucking 12. I've known Brian since I was 15.
Well, and it's interesting too because you have people like there are some people in my life where they're still friends with like all these people, but then they complain about them, and I'm like, you don't have to be friends with them.
Yeah, just walk away or just don't call.
And
What-
you
what-
got this is what? Hey, babe, how are you? Tracy's home. What? This wasn't a shot at you.
What?
Anyway, so then you got.
So I was.
So wait, what happened with the bar? So you were working the door.
So I was working the door, and I was like, checking IDs, and then there was a rule because it was in a small town that the bar only wanted like 5 people outside smoking at a time. So I'd hang outside with them, make sure no one was getting too loud.
Yeah.
I go back, check IDs, whatever. But as we were working, they would feed us drinks all night: vodka
Yeah.
Sprites, vodka Sprites, vodka Sprites.
It's water.
It's water. It looks like club soda. So there was one night, I got off work, and I drove, and I was driving to get to the highway to get home because I was living in North Bergen but still working in North Arlington. So I had to take a highway. It was a 15-minute ride. Nothing terrible. And I wasn't. This was like 2 a.m. I wasn't drunk by any stretch. I had maybe 2 drinks that entire night, and I was like, all right, I want to smoke a bowl. Like, I want to smoke a blunt. And if I drink, am I able to do that?
Yeah.
So I had 2 drinks, and I remember that. I was like, I only had 2 drinks.
You've always been more of a smoker than a drinker.
Always,
Yeah.
because the stupidest thing I've done when I've smoked is order a pizza from Domino's. Like being drunk,
Yeah.
I don't even want to tell you what I've done. But so I stopped at a Exxon station to buy a blunt and a Gatorade. So I'm rolling the blunt. As I'm rolling the blunt, cops roll up on me.
Yeah, 'cause
I
it's
was
not
sitting
legal.
there. I was sitting. And it still wasn't legal.
This
at the
is
time.
10, 15, 20 years
But
ago.
I've been sitting there for 5-8 minutes that I'd walked out of the car, reasonable suspicion.
Yeah.
I'm behind the wheel with the key in the ignition.
Motherfucker.
DUI.
That's They got me at the Walmart parking lot that way.
So, and I
Just
knew,
sitting in the car, and they were like, "We
Sitting
know
in the
you're
car.
drunk because we talked to you earlier, and then you sat in your car."
and then, so I sat there, and then they were like, well, You smell the alcohol. We have the marijuana. So we have you under whatever. You're now going to lose your job. I got lost my job checking the IDs.
Yeah.
And then I lost my license. So I left selling women's shoes. And then I opened a restaurant called Five Napkin Burger where I started doing more part-time bar shifts.
When you say you opened, like a friend of yours opened
No, it was opening staff. They were They were hiring.
Got it.
They were hiring. Sorry, I was opening staff.
Yeah.
I walked in and I had the resume that I had. It was still Carmine's.
And now that resume
ESPN
is
Zone, sales, and this and that. And so I remember the guy I interviewed with was a guy named George. And the restaurant, I don't know if they're still there at Five Napkin Burger, but they owned Nice Matan and Nitsa, and there were a couple of things, Marseille on that block. There were a bunch of things. So I was opening staff there, where I started to get back behind the bar a little more. And then I ended up getting fired there for oversleeping, from being drunk, because, and that particular night, if I recall, was the night I urinated in my roommate's trash can.
Please tell me it was Jason's.
No, it was Paul's. I think you might have met Paul. Paul, fucking grab Paul. Also lived there. I lived with Paul. Paul was my favorite. I lived in the West Village in a 1-bedroom apartment with a gay dude. Okay, but my half of the rent was like $700.
Dude.
And I lived in the West Village, off of Grove Street. Like I lived on Grove Street, Bleecker. I lived a block away from the Friends apartment.
That's
the outside of the
crazy.
Friends that they
Yeah.
show you. I was a block away from there for $700. Living with a gay dude. Paul was very clean, so his
Of course.
he was in the living room, and that was his bedroom, and I lived in the bedroom. But we'd always kind of hang out in his room. So I would come home drunk some nights and just go like harass him and poke him while he's in bed. And just be an asshole. Be a truly, truly shitty friend. But so I went in and I fell asleep, and then I woke up. And apparently I just walked over to his trash can, which was a mesh trash can.
Oh, no.
With just a paper bag in there, or just a plastic bag in there. Because luckily,
It was plastic.
I threw plastic in there. Because I was just like, I don't know how your trash can just mesh like that. Like you have to put something in there. My mom, the Latina. So I put the mesh in there, and then he wakes up, and he's like, "Fuck are you doing, man?" And I'm like, "Don't worry. It's just the shakes." Because at this point I was done, and I was just shaking the pee out. And then I walk back over and I fall asleep in his bed, to which Paul stands up and now cleans.
Yeah. Of course.
What I had just done. And then he goes back to sleep. And then he says that the next memory he has is me going, "Oh, fuck." Because I popped up and realized it was 11:20, supposed to be there at 11 o'clock. I, being the idiot I was, called
No.
to say that I was behind. Everyone there had my back. The morning crew just made it look like I was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
My station was set. My sugars were done. Like Josh and company.
Oh, so they had your back the whole
had my
time.
back, but
And the
because
manager
I
was like, "Where's
called-
Ariel?" And they're like, "I don't know. His station's done. He's somewhere."
And then because I called, fucking.
Also, another big thing not to call is you can make the emergency, quote unquote, sound way worse
Right.
if you didn't have
if I
access to
didn't-
your phone.
If I didn't have access.
Because we've had that happen at our restaurant where people just don't show up, and then you're like, "Motherfucker, what the fuck?" Blah blah blah. And then the next day they're like, "Oh, this happened," and you're like, "Completely understand why you didn't call. Totally got it. Understood."
At this point, I had finished working at Sprint, so cell phones were now a huge common thing.
Yeah.
Like at this, I was like, I got.
So you're like, "Hey guys, I'm running late."
Like, oh, and then I walked in. They were like, "Yeah, you're done." So I was like, "Okay,
Damn.
wonderful." So that's
Dude.
Yeah, dude.
You have to come back on.
oh yeah.
We've hit the hour.
We hit the hour.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
We're actually over the hour.
Oh, sorry, dude.
No.
I can talk. I'm so sorry.
Don't
I'll
apologize.
come back if it's cool.
You have to come back.
I'll definitely come back if it's cool.
Because we still have to talk about you meeting
dude,
Amanda,
I
the
haven't
baby.
even gotten to steak frites and how I got the strip house and my current drinking problem.
Plug everything one more time. Plug
I'm
the
sorry,
podcast.
PrimosForLife.com, Spotify, Amazon Music, all this stuff. Holy crap! I'm sorry, people.
Don't apologize. It's a podcast. We can make it go as long as we want.
Thank you for having me. PrimosForLife.com. You see the shirt right here.
Get the
please, we don't have the merch out yet, but when we do, we'll let you guys know. Please come in, listen, clock, follow, whatever. We appreciate everything. We love you all. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you for having me, man.
Dude, thank you for coming on, brother.
I'm so sorry, man.
Thank you, everybody, so much for
man.
listening. At Brendan T. Comedy on all social media, BrendanTComedy.com. I'll be in Denver in September. Catch me around New York. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye, guys.